Welcome to CCN Midday News. I am your host, Captivating Christian, and here are some of your top stories for today, the 28th of May. George Floyd's new surveillance video shows moments before he was killed, with no signs of him resisting. A new chart is out showing the coronavirus update. The U.S. death toll tops 100,000 people. And a tropical depression, Bertha, storm spreads and threatens to flood rainfall towards North Carolina and Virginia. Texas hospital that receives bailouts are suing poor patients for failing to pay medical bills. And Hertz paid top executives $16 million in bonuses ahead of its bankruptcy filing. And youth pastor claims that he was kidnapped by black men to avoid admitting while he was at the hotel room in the first place. Let's get to the news. And before George Floyd was pinned to the ground by a cop's knee and ultimately killed, he was handcuffed by a different officer and seemed to be cooperating, according to new surveillance footage. A nearby restaurant, Dragon Walk, captured the initial moments of George's run-in with the Minneapolis police on a camera set up outside. Based on the video, it started as a traffic stop of some sort, which ended with George laying in handcuffs. The second video shows vehicles parked curbside, and eventually two officers approached one of the cars and asked someone to step out. A man and a woman emerged from the vehicle's passenger side, while George is taken out by another officer on the driver's side. Seemingly struggling at first, the cops get George to stand up and lead him over to the sidewalk, where they sat him down. Another officer eventually arrived, and George was walked across the street off camera. He was not being led by the officers, who was eventually seen to knee him in his neck. And here's a clip of the video footage of before this man was murdered. Let's take a look.
Transaction at a store. New surveillance video tonight shows what happened before police restrained Floyd on the ground. You can see officers walking Floyd to the sidewalk and sitting him down. WCCO's Aaron Hassanza explains part of what happened after this with the help of a bystander video.
So here I go with a quick thought on this story. I am thankful to the Dragon Walk surveillance that actually sheds a different light on the story. So many times we are always categorized in that sort of thing as being the aggressor, and that was the reason for the deadly force. So I'm definitely glad that this shows a different light, that there was no resistance to always been used. Now, my second point really quick that I want to kind of drive home is, why is the media not kind of vilifying the officer just the same way they do? And if you pay attention, when something happens, whether we are the victims of the crime or not, there's always this thing of to find anything negative that the person has done and glorify that and put that out there like that's the type of person this person was. And I think the same thing should start happening to officers like this. We should see all the racist and the Klan relation and or Make America Great relationship that or ideologies that these people share to shine a light on the type of person they are. So we need to start doing that as well. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that. On to the next story. The U.S. surpassed 100,000 coronavirus deaths as of Wednesday afternoon, according to NBC News count, becoming the first country to reach the mild grimstone. The U.S. leads the world in both deaths and confirmed cases of the coronavirus, reaching 1.69 million infected. Among the infected are more than 62,000 doctors, nurses, and other healthcare professionals on the front lines of the COVID-19 response. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reported that at least 291 have died. Okay, so a little commentary on this news. Are we surprised at the coronavirus death toll now reaching 100,000 people in the United States, and the United States leading in both death toll as well as virus count for the coronavirus? And this all happens when you don't have the right structure at the top. When big disastrous things like this happen, the response is lackluster. So that's why it's important to vote, especially in your local elections as well as your presidential, because it all matters who you put at the top to handle situations like this, that you won't be caught dropping the ball and risking the lives of so many people. And that's all I have to say about that for right now. Tropical depression Bertha will track further inland across North Carolina and Virginia throughout Wednesday night, with heavy rainfall that could trigger flash flooding. Bertha made landfall with maximum sustaining winds of about 50 miles per hour just east of Charleston, South Carolina at about 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, according to the National Hurricane Center. This landfall occurred about an hour after Bertha quickly formed near the South Carolina coastline this morning. Since that time, Bertha has weakened to a tropical depression and will eventually wind down into a remnant of a low, and as it moves further inland over North Carolina and Virginia. Despite weakening, Bertha will begin soaking rainfall and possibly flooding into parts of the Carolinas and Virginia throughout Wednesday night. Gusty winds will accompany this system as it moves inland. Rainfall totals around 2 to 4 inches, locally up to about 8 inches, are possible from the eastern and central South Carolina to the southeast and central North Carolina and the southwest part of Virginia. The National Weather Center and the Prediction Center is issued a moderate risk of extensive rain leading to flash flooding along the eastern slopes of the Appalachians in the southwest part of Virginia. Flash flooding watches have been issued for portions of central and eastern South Carolina, central North Carolina, and western Virginia, where the grounds are already saturated by recent rainfalls. This includes Charlotte, Greensboro, North Carolina, and Roanoke, Virginia. 91% of Americans want healthcare price transparency and support that hospitals and healthcare facilities be required to publicly disclose the prices of their services. Hospitals, which in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic have already received more than $100 billion in stimulus funds, do not want to comply with any transparency rules. In fact, when the Trump administration announced that it would be requiring hospitals to reveal their negotiated rates by January of 2021, hospitals responded in a lawsuit. Lawmakers discussed that the next round of stimulus funds, hospitals are back in line with their handout, seeking another $75 billion more from taxpayer money. And at the same time, over more than 22 million Americans which have filed for unemployment benefits, which would be hard for them to actually pay their bills. Right now, the hospitals are now looking to sue low-income patients for medical debt, garnishing wages of persons living paycheck to paycheck, even putting liens on their personal property. Many hospitals like Mary Washington Hospital in Virginia has garnished wages for more than 1,500 low-income patients last year alone. You had the Methodist Church Healthcare Center, a non-profited healthcare center in Memphis, which filed, and these are all lawsuits against poor patients for unpaid medical bills, as well as many hospitals in Texas as well. So this is a really big problem, and it will only get bigger. One, when you don't have a healthcare system working anyway, and a whole nother thing if you try to create one and then somebody comes and kind of rips at the foundation of it and you're just left with a shell. People get to run amok. And again, it's all about, for the people at the top, it's all about the money. It's really not even about the patients. Because how do you get bailout money, ask for more, and then turn around and gonna sue, the people that probably don't even have it to begin with like that. You're gonna sue them to make them pay for their medical bills. I mean, it's just altogether crazy. Hertz paid out millions of dollars in bonuses to its executives just before its bankruptcy, a month after it started laying off thousands of employees. Retention bonuses are typically for bankrupt companies that want to prevent their management from abandoning ship. But they're always awkward. The company can't pay its employees or its debts to lenders, but it polarizes payments to already handsomely paid bosses. Hertz paid a total of $16.2 million to its 340 executives on May 19th, and as part of a plan to keep them in place while the company attempts to reorganize, the company announced in a filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission, the executives will be required to return the money should they leave Hertz on their own before the 31st of March in 2021. Real quick, want to give some commentary on this. I want to correct some things. I know in Politics and Wellness I've mentioned this story, and I think I said 16 million each, but it was actually 16 million to all of the executives. The number of executives was of course 340 executives, which means that every executive, even though they have to stay with the company, walked away with at least close to $50,000 in a bonus. That's what it totaled out to be. Actually, $47,058.82 to be exact. So, granted, not a whole lot of money, but I'm sure it's still something. When people were getting laid off left and right, they still got to walk away with $50,000 and keep their job. But they would have to pay it back if they chose to leave before, I think it was March 2021. Christopher Keys has been arrested and charged with solicitation of sodomy for attempting to hire a male prostitute. Unfortunately for Keys, his hope for a one-night stand got him more than he bargained for. Keys was robbed by two masked men in his hotel room, but instead of telling his family the truth, he claimed that he was kidnapped by two black men. Keys admitted to the police why he was at the hotel, and an employee told the officers that he was a frequent visitor of this location, according to the police report. Keys was robbed after checking into the hotel. When he opened his door expecting his hookup, a masked man walked into the room. He forced Keys onto the bed at gunpoint, and he left the pastor's truck to take his wallet. Another man came in to keep him from fleeing. The gunman took his wallet, phone, and keys. His phone was later retrieved in a nearby Walmart parking lot. Keys told a friend that he had been carjacked and kidnapped by two black men who robbed him and took him to the hotel. As the story spread, someone posted on social media where it went viral in the local community. Keys has now been arrested and charged with solicitation of sodomy. While sodomy is legal in the United States, soliciting a prostitute is still against the law. The term is commonly used to refer to offering to pay for sex of any kind. Now let's get into a little bit of this commentary for this one, all right? So this person, this man, not only was he a youth pastor, but he's also a teacher. He had met this responding to this ad on Craigslist, and this particular hotel where he was claimed that he was taken to when he was carjacked is a hotel he does frequent, where when he meets his dates, I guess. And so that's how the employers or employees at this hotel was able to know who this person was. So he was actually going there for a date. He did not get carjacked. He was going there for a date and he was robbed. But of course, he ran with the two black men, robbed him, carjacked him, and robbed him, so on and so forth. The police actually did an investigation and came back to him minutes later and kind of realized that he was not telling the truth and there was something more to the story. And come to find out, yes, he is a married man, a youth minister, as well as he likes to engage in homosexual activity. And the length to what some people go to hide who they are is really, and at the cost of what? You're doing this to actually endanger not only yourself, but then your family as well, just to keep this secret instead of just living your truth and being yourself, your authentic self, even if that means going up against something that you deem to that you even preach about. So it's a lot of conflict in there. So hopefully that man gets what he deserves for that, because again, here you go with the blaming or throwing that out there. Hey, I got carjacked and robbed by these two black men. They don't even say the ethnicity of the men that did rob him. So we don't know that either. But I'll keep a lookout on this story and more. And thank you guys for listening. Shout out to Triple Red X for kind of giving me this idea to kind of, I guess, say my thoughts on how I feel about this. So shout out to you, bro. Appreciate it. And that's all I have. So thanks for watching. Once again, thank you for watching CCN Midday News. Hope you enjoyed. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also hit that notification button so you will never miss another news update. Have a great day. Peace.